Have you ever sat across from a woman and within just a few minutes felt like she had already read your entire being? Not the poetic soul reading you see in romance movies. No. It's the kind of reading an investor does when they're scrutinizing the balance sheet of a company before deciding whether to buy or walk away. Every smile, every glance, every pause, none of it is accidental. If you think it's just a touch of shyness or some random sweetness, you're dead wrong. This is an exam, and you're the subject on the table. She's not looking for beauty. She's not looking at your bank account. She's looking for cracks, the weak points that, under enough time and pressure, will make you break. And if you think this is a joke, I'm sorry, this is evolutionary biology in motion. Just like an antelope sensing the scent of a lion, she is hardwired to detect instability in a man. But here's the part most men never see. If she senses that you stand firm, that you don't need permission to be who you are, the rules of the game change instantly. And in that moment, the one who thought she was evaluating you becomes the one standing in front of a power she wasn't expecting. The first scene seems harmless enough. A quiet coffee shop background music, just loud enough to fill the silence. You're sitting across from her, fingers resting lightly on the warm cup in front of you. Then she tilts her head, her eyes flicker for a split second toward the waiter passing by, and return to you with the faintest smirk, a smile that's half play, half provocation. Then the question drops onto the table like a stone into still water. So, what do? Most men hear this and think, oh, she's curious about my job. But if you've been burned before, lost your footing, and have since sharpened your awareness, you'll hear something else entirely. This isn't a question, it's a radar sweep. A power audit disguised as small talk wrapped in just 5 words. Evolutionary psychology calls this a mate value probe, a subtle way to assess where you rank in her unspoken hierarchy. And trust me, that smirk isn't just for show. It's a signal saying I'm playing, but I want to see if you can play too. The weak reaction, the one most men default to, looks exactly like a job interview. Their posture straightens, their voice perks up, and they roll out an answer polished to impress. Well, I work in tech, just got promoted. I manage a team of 6, and I'm leading this really exciting project. The content might be impressive, but here's the problem. The moment you launch into that speech, you've put her in the judge's seat and you've placed yourself in the candidate's chair. And from that moment forward, the power has shifted. She'll listen, she'll smile, but inside attraction starts to drain because she's just seen what her instincts warned her about a man who can be rattled under light scrutiny. And if you break here, how will you hold up when life throws a real storm at you? The power move is different. It's not a line you memorize, it's the natural result of a mindset that's been forged. When she asks, "What do?" you don't rush to perform. You meet her eyes relaxed as if the question is just playful banter, and you say, "I do what I want." Then you let the silence breathe. A faint smile flickers like you just remembered something amusing. If she presses you, add right now, that happens to be building things I actually care about. No rush, no resume dump, no scrambling to fill the air. This sends a message. Words alone can't touch. You know exactly who you are, and you don't need permission to exist. Machiavelli called it effortless authority, the kind of power that doesn't shout. And in that one instant, the frame flips. The woman who thought she was testing you now has to ask herself, who exactly am I sitting across from? From that point on, she's in dangerous territory, the space where curiosity becomes intrigue, and if it lasts long enough, intrigue becomes obsession. And you don't chase. Because a man of true presence never runs after what's already moving toward him. This time it's not a quiet coffee shop, but a rooftop at night, buzzing with music and drenched in warm golden light. The air feels both crowded and open, like those moments in life when you want to hold on and let go at the same time. You arrive together not holding hands, but standing close enough that anyone watching knows this is a pair. Then she spots another man, Maybe an old coworker, a longtime friend, or simply an opportunity to test your role. She lightly touches your arm, says, "I'm just going to say hi to a friend," and steps away. From across the space, you see her lean in her smile, lighting up her hand, brushing his arm as they laugh. Then, as if by accident, she glances back at you. Not for permission, not for reassurance, but to measure. This is a silent but brutal test. If her gaze can pull you out of your own position, then you were never standing there firmly in the first place. Most men fail instantly. Their shoulders tighten, eyes locked on her like a broken security camera, recording and shaking at the same time. When she returns, they'll try to mask their unease with a half-joking jab. "So, your new best friend?" Or they'll withdraw, arms crossed, trapped in the small cage of their own bruised ego. On the surface, it looks like jealousy, but underneath it's a confession: "I need your constant attention to feel steady." And to a woman, that's a flashing red light. Not because she hates being valued, but because her instincts know a man who relies on her focus to stay upright will crumble when she's not there. The power move here isn't to pretend not to care. It's to genuinely not be shaken. When she steps away, you don't track her with your eyes, and you don't strain to overhear. You turn fully to whoever is right beside you. Maybe it's an older man telling a story about almost drowning at sea. Maybe it's a stranger who just introduced themselves. You listen. You engage. You laugh at the right moments. And you're not doing it so she sees you're doing it, because your world doesn't depend on where she's standing. So when she glances back, she doesn't see surveillance. She sees a man busy ruling his own space. A man who doesn't need to pull her back because the world he's in is compelling enough for anyone to want to step into. In politics, Machiavelli once wrote, "True rulers don't fight over small patches of land. They know the throne cannot be taken by an empty chair." In relationships, the principle is the same. Real power doesn't tremble over small movements. The irony. When she doesn't get the jealous reaction her instincts predicted, she's left disoriented. And in that disorientation, she starts to wonder, is he unbothered because he's certain of himself? Or because he has more options than I thought? Both answers make you more attractive. More importantly, they plant an image in her mind. Even with another man's presence in the room, you stand like a mountain unmoved by the wind. Later, when she meets other men, the ones who flinch the moment she shifts her attention, the memory of you will surface automatically. The comparison will be brutal, and you will always win. Not because you did more, but because you didn't need to do anything to remain unshaken. True power isn't about owning her. It's about making her want to stay in your orbit, even when you never pull. And once she realizes that the game will never be the same again. Some of the sharpest tests don't happen in crowded rooms or noisy streets. They unfold in the quietest places. Not on a bustling rooftop, not at a coffee table in public, but in a still room where the air feels safe. Warm amber light softens the walls. Lazy music drifts into the silence. You're both sitting close enough to hear each other's breathing, yet far enough that you haven't touched. She leans back, eyes glinting with a hint of mischief. Then she drops it light as air, sharp as a blade. "I can't figure you out." The man who doesn't understand this game will smile, thinking it's a compliment or an invitation to open up. He'll rush in. "Really? Let me tell you." And just like that, he unrolls the full scroll of his life, childhood beliefs, fears, dreams, spilling everything, as if letting her know all of it is the surest way to keep her. It might feel romantic to him, but psychologically, it's the fastest way to drop his value. Because in that moment, he hands her the keys to his entire house. Not just the front door, but the basement, the attic, and the safe. He shows her that the mystery she felt was just an accident, and he'll gladly erase it if she asks. To her, the magic fades. Because people aren't addicted to what they can fully read in one sitting, they're addicted to what pulls them back over and over to learn more. A man with presence plays it differently. He hears her words, lets a small smile flicker, holds something back in his eyes and says simply, "Good." No defense, no hurried self-explanation. Then he turns the frame not to dodge but to lead. What about you? What do people usually get wrong about you? In that moment, he does two things at once. He keeps the shadow of mystery over himself, and he pulls her into the center of the spotlight. In strategy, this is called controlled opacity, revealing only what serves your purpose, keeping the rest like a treasure only the worthy ever see. It sends a clear signal: I value my inner world too much to put it on display just to earn approval. And it hints at something else, that he's been here before, that women have been drawn to him before, and that delaying revelation isn't a weakness, but the very fuel of desire. When she leaves that night, her question isn't, "Does he like me?" It's, "What is he holding back?" And that unanswered question, that open loop, is what will make her return. In psychology, open loops are mental itches. People hate an unfinished story. The brain will circle back looking for closure. And when you are the unfinished story, she'll keep coming back, asking, wondering, until she realizes the loop only closes if you let it. And when you hold that choice, the balance of power shifts quietly to your side. You don't have to snarl. You don't have to act cold. You just have to resist selling all your secrets for a few minutes of acceptance. Most men can't handle the silence. They fear that if they don't spill, she'll walk away. The truth: she walks away because they did spill. Once the mystery dies, the desire dies with it. A man with real presence doesn't fear silence, because he knows sometimes silence is the most seductive invitation there is. Some tests don't come in the form of a glance or a pause. They arrive when she stares straight at you and strikes at the deepest thing you have: your beliefs. It might happen in a quiet, intimate setting late at night, both of you sitting on the couch, the room wrapped in dim light. She leans forward, eyes bright with a mix of curiosity and challenge. "I just don't understand how you can believe that." It could be politics, morality, religion, or a personal principle you've lived by for years. On the surface, it sounds like an invitation to share. In reality, it's a high-level power test. Will you stand firm when your core belief is under fire? Most men, even those who think they're strong, get pulled into one of two traps. They either launch into a heated argument to win, or they quickly soften their stance to keep the peace. Both are failures. Arguing hard makes you reactive, defending instead of leading. Backing down sends an even deadlier signal: my principles change if you don't agree. To a woman, that's like finding out the ship's captain will change course over a light breeze. Deep down, she's not looking for a man who agrees with everything she says. She's looking for a man who knows where he's going and doesn't take his hands off the wheel just because the waters shift. The man with true presence does neither. He listens without interrupting. He may nod at a few points she makes, showing that he's genuinely weighing her view. But when he speaks, his voice is steady, unhurried, and his words land like a stone placed firmly on the table. "I hear what you're saying, but this is the way I see the world, and it's how I'm going to live." No insults, no sarcasm, no need to cut her down to stand taller, just a statement of truth. In leadership, this is the mark of the principled man, open to hearing others yet unshakable in his own axis. Psychologically, it sends a powerful signal. I am not a blank canvas for others to paint on. I am a finished work in the strokes that matter. What you see is the result of a lifetime of experience. She might keep debating. She might throw in a few more challenges. But somewhere deeper, her instincts mark you as a safe harbor, not because you agreed, but because you are stable. This matters far more than most men realize. In evolutionary psychology, a woman unconsciously seeks a man who can protect not only her body, but the shared world you might build together. A man who can't hold his principles in front of her can't be trusted to hold them against the outside world. The beauty is, this moment doesn't just create respect. It builds loyalty, the kind of bond that surface-level attraction could never hold. Because once she believes you will stay steady in the storm, she doesn't just want to be with you, she wants to stand with you. When she walks away from that night, her question is no longer, "What makes him attractive?" but "How do I become part of the world he's protecting?" And that's when the game changes entirely. Attraction can bring a woman back, but belief in your strength and principles is what makes her stay for the long run. If you've stayed with me until now, you've probably realized a truth that is both brutal and freeing. The smallest moments, a casual question, a quick glance, a half smile, are not accidents. They are silent tests. Not to destroy you, but to see if you truly are the man you claim to be. And this is where most men fall. They blame women, the games, or society itself. But the truth is, they gave away their own power by living without an inner pillar. They waited to be validated instead of validating themselves. They chased attention instead of creating a gravity so strong that others want to step into it. A man can lose money, lose status, even lose the woman he loves. But if he loses the ability to stand on his own, he's lost everything. Because without that internal strength, everything else is on lease, ready to disappear with the first storm. I'm not saying this to scare you, I'm saying it to make you remember. Remember that you once had it, before the failures, before the rejections, before you blurred yourself to fit in. You were once the man who didn't need permission to exist, the man who could stand tall even with the world staring at him. Now is the time to take it back. Not by playing the cold guy, not by cheap manipulation, but by rebuilding yourself brick by brick, physical strength, discipline, intellect, and principles. When you do this, the tests will stop feeling like threats. They'll become chances to prove without saying a word exactly who you are. If this video has stirred something in you, don't keep it to yourself. Send it to another man, someone standing on the edge where you once stood. Don't share it as a fan. Share it as a brother in arms. Because when one man wakes up, an entire circle of men can change.